So welcome everyone. Today I'm gonna start talking about AMAMER and how which technology do we implement for developing AMAMER. So first of all, what is AMAMER for those who doesn't know or doesn't have it clear? The idea behind AMAMER is, as Jaume explained at the very beginning of this presentation, is to create a platform that allows people to report biological observations to the ANERIS platform. In that case, the product is called Minka. It's pretty easy to use, so you just download an app. That's what we are going to explain today, how we develop this app, which technologies is behind them. You log in, you create your account, and you upload an observation with different kind of steps. So you define species, location, date, metadata. Then you upload it to the platform, and you then upload it to a common Minka community for people to see, to add information, and to see different biological observations into a map, as Jaume explained at the very beginning. So AMAMER is focused obviously on the acquisition and validation part of the ANERIS project. And I'm going to focus more on the acquisition part. It's where the technology comes and it has a very important role in it. So the main challenge of the whole project is to create a multi-platform app for both iOS and Android to enhance participation in the ANERIS project. I'm also going to stop here because it's not just for iOS and Android, but the decision of the technology that we choose, it came from the position that it can be not just for iOS and Android, but also for desktop environments like Mac, Linux, Windows, or even Chromebooks. So it was pretty a good decision on trying to achieve the more targets possible with the technology that we choose. And now we're gonna see which technology it is and which advantages it has. Okay, when we start creating and we start deciding which technology to apply for the project, we had two different approaches. So we were looking for market-ready multi-platform options. And in the moment of starting ANERIS, there were two main competitors into the market. One of them was React Native, the other one was Flutter. For those who doesn't know which, those technologies, React Native comes from Facebook. It's an open source project that comes from Facebook, but it's maintained from with them, and it relies on web development for creating multi-platform apps for both iOS and Android. So the premise was exactly the same for both of them, but one of them, that's the case of React Native, uses web technologies for it. So there's JavaScript, TypeScript, and those kinds of language for creating the apps. And then the other one was Flutter. Flutter is a really new, or quite new at the time, technology. In the case, it came out in 2017, and it's supported by Google. So that's the one that we choose. And why do we choose that one? Is because it doesn't rely on web or external technologies for actually developing apps, but it actually compiles an app into the device or into the environment that it is using. In that case, in iOS, it uses the iOS compilator, and Android uses the Android compilator for actually accessing and having the best performance on all the devices that it runs from. And that's why we choose Flutter for actually creating Minka inside the ANERIS project. So key advantages of Flutter is well, if you know React Native, and we can have a little comparison here, key points are cross-platform development. That was a key part of it. That was a must. The sentence is code once, deploy on any Android or iOS device across the market. It actually reduces development time and cost. So usually when you want to develop an app and you want for both iOS and Android and you go native, that's one of the options you can take. You usually need to have two separate teams, one for Android, one for iOS, with different teams, different timelines, different project managements, and different at the end of the day, different teams. So you have to manage them. By using Flutter, you can cut off that part of the project by just having just one team specialized in Flutter, and then maybe having some different members of the team that are specialized in iOS and Android specifically for creating like advanced integrations. One thing that I didn't mention is that by using Flutter, you can actually integrate native code inside the app. For example, Perrine and Simon were talking about AI and image processing. So if you actually want to integrate advanced functionalities, for example, for pre-processing images, for sending to them and for them to really improve their estimations or their results, you can actually do it by just applying Core ML, for example, for iOS, or MLKit, actually, for Android. So you can actually modify images with predefined machine learning algorithms and then send it to them for actually doing their job like easier. Okay, so by doing that, with just taking a person that knows iOS and Android, you can integrate it into Flutter easily and seamlessly. So it's a pretty nice approach for that. Obviously, more about talking about the user experience as the user at the end of the day we're trying to improve. Flutter has plenty of user interface elements and widgets that can resemble and can like be pretty similar to their native alternative, like be Swift or Java. Obviously, it offers plenty of customizable options and adaptive designs. When I mentioned Android and iOS, I didn't mention about smartphones or tablets because it can run on both. Okay, it's a pretty nice approach for just one code every device. So just I'm gonna stop here. Also, a sentence for of the Flutter team. It's Flutter. It can be wherever a screen can be. Okay, so their efforts on the SDK is to actually run on any device that has a screen. Okay, even embedded. So as you can see, Flutter is taking a really clear path to multi-platform apps. Also, Dart, it has fast compilation. It renders 60 FPs for smooth animations and different transitions for the users to have a good experience. And a really good point of it is it has a really good community and support for Google and by Google. So it's pretty nice. Okay, that's another thing that I want to mention here. It has a large developer base. Despite its like recently, like it was really created in the last years, but it has a really huge amount of developer base that allow us to like solve problems and improve the SDK really fast. Also, integration capabilities, since it has a really huge community. For example, that thing that I mentioned before about machine learning integrations. It's probably that if you want to do that, there's someone that has already done that, and you can like get their work or get their advancement of that, take it from there to implement it directly into your code. And also, most of the AI processing pipelines and image manipulation libraries that Google has in their ecosystem, it can be easily integrated into your code to be run natively and on device, and not like delay their processing into the on cloud premise or something. So you can do it everything on device and then send it to the backend if needed for further processing. One of the main challenges that we focus is by having all that SDKs and all those functionality, it can impact directly in the app size of it. So if you're probably not most of you, but if you are inside like app development, you need to focus on the user experience the most, and having large bundled packages size for on the App Store is really critical. Okay, so you are trying always to reduce the 200 megabytes of size, and having Flutter, it can actually impact on that size of the bundle. So you need to care about what you're actually implementing, what you're doing. And obviously, if you focus 100% on Flutter and you only have like a dedicated team for Flutter and not having like experts on iOS and Android development, you may focus integration problems due to their complexity. It's quite complex on integrating iOS and Android specific developments into Flutter, and that's one of the main challenges. So if you don't have like main iOS and Android engineers, you may face that problem. In that case, we decided Flutter is ideal for all of those things that I mentioned. Most of them, like the main point is they have a good and amazing UX and UI, and for seamless integration between both platforms. And when I mentioned about that it's actually multi-platform is because with a couple of clicks, not a couple of clicks, but you can understand me, like with a couple of like implementations, you can actually port any of the apps that you have to desktop. That is super powerful. Like imagine 10 years ago when you want to do a desktop app, you need to focus, like you need to actually decide, okay, I want to do it for Windows, for Microsoft, or I want to do it for Mac. And that's two complete different worlds. I mean, you need to do it in C#, or you need to do it in Objective-C or Swift, or whatever other technologies those platforms are handling. But with Flutter, we did the Minka desktop app really did quick, because all the core business functionalities that were integrated into the Minka app were actually portable. And it was pretty easy to just take those core functionalities, so integration with APIs, integration with on-device processing stuff and everything, and we just actually changed the layout. It was as simple as complicated as painting information into the screen, because all the core information and all the core business of the project was already there. So we just take that information, we put it into a new project, we code a new screens, and we have actually the same thing in desktop. And when I say in desktop, I mean in any desktop available in the market. We have it in Mac, we have it in Windows, we have it in Linux. As I mentioned, we even have it in Chromebooks. So it was pretty easy for us to actually develop that app by using Flutter as a framework, something impossible to think about without these tools. Okay, also a thing that it's pretty neat with Flutter is it has like on-the-go offline capabilities. So that allows us, specifically on the Minka platform of ANERIS, to develop some advanced functionalities for example, when you are in a boat, you just ended to take some pictures and you want to upload everything prior to arrive to the land, you can just plug in or upload those functionalities. They are stored in local databases that they're automatically synced every time that you get in internet connection. So everything gets on device, you store everything, and then when you arrive at land with a stable internet connection, you can just synchronize everything and don't need like to wait when you arrive at home or at the office or the unit to actually do it. So that is right away implemented in Flutter, and it can help us a lot on having like a good user experience with the user. Another thing that I mentioned that maybe we did not within ANERIS project like have a deep understanding of it is with Flutter and with implementation that we've done, you can actually integrate advanced machine learning algorithms on it and not defer those machine learning algorithm processes on the cloud or on the further project. So you can start by transforming images, more about image processing, right away into the device. So for the other teams of the ANERIS project, you have like the most standardized images available, so for them to be easier to actually work with those observations or those detections on the images. So this is pretty amazing. And with machine learning for ML Kit on Android and Core ML on iOS, that comes pretty simple to integrate into Flutter apps. Okay. Obviously, that comes with a real standard software architectures. So in that case, with Minka, we use clean architecture, design driven, domain driven design. So it's pretty common to the market with external design systems that allows Flutter allows external design systems for having like a standardized and user experience. A standardized user experience, and obviously it's integrated into CI, continuous integration, continuous delivery distribution pipelines that comes right away with our architecture and the software that we've done. And obviously that comes with some functionalities that can integrate right away, and it can be like really easy to navigate into the Minka app, or probably you've been working or you'll be using it. You see, so some current functionalities and future functionalities that we are working with. So with Flutter, it comes pretty easy to integrate user authentication and authorization. It comes like must out of the box. And then some functionalities that we currently have in Minka, so project search and discoverability. You can actually join any project that you may find interesting. You have geolocation observations. So also with Flutter, we can actually use real-time location. So we can access location from the user. So we have the device and the GPS. And we can also have background location for tracking users across, for example, our observation window. So you can have like your real-time observation, even if the app is not in the foreground. So that's pretty awesome, and it comes directly from Flutter. And also what I mentioned, the offline reporting, for us, it's super important. Also, some future functionalities that we are working with Flutter, and it comes from the different options that Flutter offers, is bulk observations upload. It's not the need of really having to upload one by one observations into the system, but to be able to accessing, for example, USBs directly from your phone and Flutter. You can actually take like bulk images and edit them right away from a single screen, enhancing as like the process of uploading observations into the platform. That comes also with enhancing user experience and multi-observation reporting. Also the ability of adding filters, advanced search for like, for example, like Elasticsearch and discoverability options. And also one thing that I mentioned, it's pretty nice, is like the pre-processing images for AI processing, as I mentioned before. And that's it for our part in the Minka and Flutter implementation. So if you have any question, I will be glad to answer.